You're listening to Ruthie's Table 4 in partnership with Moncler. Arriving home yesterday after a busy night, a book was waiting for me on the table. The book was a memoir from under the truck, and the author was my friend Josh Brolin. I say friend, but for full disclosure, Josh and I have actually only met once, when my friend Glenn Close called to say she was bringing someone she loved to the River Cafe, and I would love him too. Would I be able to stop cooking for a bit and join them? Of course I did, and right away there was a connection. Josh is a storyteller. I sat there listening as he described a difficult mother who at the same time left food on neighbors' fence posts, what it was like to be a 14-year-old chef in an Italian restaurant, and the way food and love for his family sustains him today. He also told us about filming with Glenn in London on Knives Out, working with the Coen brothers on No Country for Old Men, and making Gus Van Sant's movie Milk, one of my favorites, with Sean Penn. Josh was leaving for LA the next day. In the morning, a beautiful text arrived on my phone. Ruthie, let's do a podcast. I think we'll have fun, or it will be beautifully revealing.
Very nice.
But I thought it was very moving on the last pages of your book, and the last chapter really, was that you end with a recipe of your mother's with Oreo cookies, which I brought. But you also wrote a very moving paragraph, which I thought perhaps you could read.
I would love to. Let's see. But the one thing she could do without any hassle was cook. She'd leave food on people's fence posts at the start of their dirt driveways, and they'd wave at us the next day as she was taking me to school. She'd help start small local restaurants in the area, then talk about starting her own. Hell, she even filled the fridge with 6 dessert dishes the night she died. 3 days later, when we had the gathering at the ranch to honor her, that's what everyone ate, her sweet creations, the only sweet she could muster. She moved insides, my mother, even when she was dead. And from these strewn scraps of recipe ingredients comes a history. Wow. I haven't read that for a while. It's funny because I thought of this on the way over here, which I never do. I never prep for interviews or podcasts or any of it. And on the way over here, I started to write on my phone different foods and different things that I kind of have a history with or that resonate within me. And then that moment of banoffee, that's what she made the night before, banoffee and key lime pie in these rectangular glass trays. And there were 6 of them, and those were the desserts for the gathering.
Yeah. Food and music bring back memories, doesn't it? Like you hear a song and you know where you were when you heard it.
It's one of those things with books that I'll say that it's like the one thing that I've heard compliment about the writing is that it's very vivid. And my mother lived very vivid. And you go, what is it about that? With music, what you just said, with food, there's been these things in my life that have been extremely vivid.
Can you tell about the early days? When you remember her in terms of the way she fed you, the way you ate, or the way where you grew up? You grew up on a ranch.
I grew up on a ranch. My mother's from Corpus Christi, Texas. She ran away from home when she was 19. She came to Hollywood, and the first people she met were Clint and Maggie Eastwood. And that's who took her under their wing.
Did she run away from home because she was unhappy?
Well, I don't know. No, I don't think so, because she always talked of her parents fondly, And then I just found out, I just did a book reading, and somebody came up to me and kind of handed me 6 pages that were stapled together, and they said, I went to school with your grandfather, my mother's dad. And I said, wow. And I started looking through, this is very my mother. I started looking through the pages before I went on stage, and it turns out that my mother was married before she left Texas. I never knew that. I just found that out.
So age 18 or something.
I guess.
Yeah, really young.
For a week.
But she had to run away to do what she wanted to do.
It was one of those innate things that she just felt like she needed more. I get it.
Yeah. And maybe she ran away from her husband, age 18. No?
I don't know. I just think she needed more vivid.
Yeah.
She needed more music. She needed more food. She needed more something. So when she came to LA, I think that it was what she was looking for, but I also think it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
So she started, I think, sleeping with a bunch of married guys, and she was, religious, and she'd been, told to go to church all the time. And so then she came to LA, she starts getting into this Hollywood thing, and then she ended up taking some pills and driving into parked cars, and she got kind of hauled off to Camarillo State Hospital, which was the local funny farm.
She wanted to be an actor.
No.
Oh, she didn't want to act.
No, had no interest.
I see.
No.
Did you know what she wanted? Did she?
Animals were always her thing. So she started a wildlife way station. She met my dad. She was assistant casting the series of her Batman. And my dad did an episode of Batman. So that's when they met. But they got married 12 days after they met.
Wow.
My dad was more of a subservient type, and my mother was not.
Yeah.
My mother just made things happen. She was always making things happen, whether it was food, whether it was whatever she was involved with had a high octane gasoline involved.
So you describe, Josh, living on a ranch from an early age, your mother taking you out of an urban existence and into the wild, and that includes animals and her passion for animals, her protection of animals. Can you tell me a bit about what that was like as a child?
We moved out of LA. We moved out of Los Angeles to a place called Paso Robles, California, which is about 200 miles north of Los Angeles. I think I was 5 at the time. And she always had animals before that. She had cages. And so she ran a wildlife way station. She would take animals who had illegally been taken out of the wild, and she would have those people jailed, and she would nurse those animals back to health. If they'd been defanged or declawed, she would find the most habitable zoo. She would find those lion country safari type places. But, there were wolves. My brother got 60 stitches in his leg from a wolf. We cleaned the cages. There were mountain lions. I have a picture right here.
Let me see.
I mean, you want me to show you the picture? I have a picture of an adolescent mountain lion in my crib.
Oh my gosh, is that you?
That's
that you?
That's me.
It makes me kind of crazy to think of that.
No,
I'm sorry. This makes me crazy.
Oh, it's insane.
I mean,
that's
really
what I'm telling
crazy.
you. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
And there was no protection for you. There was never anybody around who said this can't happen.
And I don't victimize in my
No,
book.
you don't.
When you read my book,
No.
I don't victimize
I know.
myself, and I don't feel victimized.
No.
But there is an indictment. I was talking to Howard Stern about it, and he said, "You don't indict your parents." I said, "I do."
Yeah.
The reality is.
Yeah.
They're incredibly irresponsible because that was the least of it. We had to clean those cages.
Yeah.
You go in there at 8 years old and you have a rake and you're looking at a wolf in the eye. But if you look down too much, it's going to see you as prey and weak. But if you confront too much, it's going to see it as a confrontation and attack.
Do you remember domestic life? Would you sit down to meals? Would there be food
Always.
on the table? Oh, yeah.
Always. That was the one thing. It's the one through line that I remember in my childhood because, I'd wake up sometimes, my brother and I would wake up 3 o'clock in the morning with my mother shaking us and saying, "I want a Whataburger," and then would drive, 1,500 miles with us in the car, even though we had school and
1,500 miles.
Oh yeah, 1,500 miles. My mother didn't fly. She had been a stewardess.
What is a Whataburger?
Whataburger, Texan burger that started in Corpus Christi.
What is it made of?
It's like our In-N-Out burger in America.
Okay. Oh, so it's the name of a brand.
Yeah,
It wasn't made with a lot of water.
It's a franchise.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bad I mean, it's not a bad hamburger. It's a decent hamburger.
And she had a craving for it. And
That was
so
it.
She would
You get in the car
car.
and you'd be in the car for 4 or 5 days.
And what would that feel like, do you think?
It was good. There was something that was great about the adventure of it, which
Yeah.
I think is still in me. My brother, it's interesting because my brother didn't have, as my dad describes, the fight in him that I had. So my brother was much more quiet, and so his life is very simple. It's quite the opposite. Me, I was just writing about it on the way over here, not in thought of coming over here, but I was like, I'm ready to go home right now. I've been traveling, I've been doing this book thing, but I started describing the light and the this and the that, and the constant adventure is great because it's like being born again and again and again and again. You're like a child, where everything becomes a new discovery. You're like, what's that? Wow, look at the way that's hitting that. And the English light is different than the Italian light, which is different than the Middle Eastern light or whatever it is.
So she would, with waking you up at 3 a.m. or having the animals that you describe so vividly in your book or the ranch, there was a kind of structure of that we would always sit down to a meal or?
Always. Yeah, that's why I say that's the only kind of, you and I were talking about this before, the only sense of domestic reality within our family. My dad was constantly traveling because he was working. My mom was always looking for something to do and something to kind of mix up. And then there would be her cooking.
Do you remember, so describe her kitchen in the house. Do you remember what that was like?
The house was just put up for sale, so I was able to see an actual picture because the ranch is 3 miles from the ranch that we're on now.
Okay.
So where I grew up is 3 miles away from where our ranch is now.
And where is that?
Paso Robles, California.
Where's that?
It's Central Coast, California.
How far from?
4 hours north of LA, 3.5 hours south of San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Salinas Valley, close to Steinbeck country and all that. But so I could see what my memory was, but it's a very Spanish type, Spanish tiles, all handpicked by her. Yeah. And the stove was always, I always remember the flames, high flames in the stove. And then I would get up. I don't know why I started doing this. I'm thinking about it now. I would get up on Saturdays usually, and I would cook breakfast for my whole family.
And by yourself,
I still make a great breakfast.
You lit the flame.
I had the flame, I had the eggs, over medium, over easy. I had the toast, I had the bacon. I had biscuits sometimes. But I don't know why. I don't know what it was about. There was some meditating. Obviously, I wanted to please them. I loved maybe that was just me trying to extend that thing. Like, you stay in bed.
I'm going to take care
together.
of you. Yeah.
I'm going to take care of you. It's funny, I haven't thought of that in so long.
Do you think you used recipes, or did you just instinctively know?
No, it was instinctive. It was always instinctive. And my kids, my older kids, who are 36 and 31 now, will tell you that I made either the greatest food or the worst food that I would eat, because if we were out at the ranch and it was like, look, this is what we have.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't go to the grocery store today. This is what we have. So you have to experiment with what you have.
Yeah.
And sometimes that kind of experimenting would turn out brilliant.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would turn out like regurgitation.
What
I remember my daughter crying and saying, it tastes so bad. I'd go, you have to eat it. And I think that was the kind of connective tissue I had of my mother, because the one time, and you keep trying to go there, the one time that my family was a family, the kind of family that you see in Leave It to Beaver, even though it was as far from Leave It to Beaver as you can imagine, was dinner. And my mother always cooked. My mother cooked every day.
So
Cooking was her thing. Cooking was her art. Cooking was her canvas.
I was reading your book last night, and the amount of times that telephones were slammed down, or noise was made, or people running away, or the anger, or the fury, or you can looking back on that, and then sitting down to dinner. So you would have that, and then there would be, would dinner, because we like to talk about food here, would dinners calm, though? Would she kind of want the food eaten properly, or would they also be a place for dramatic interaction?
No, it wasn't. No, even the thing that you're referencing is the phone being slammed down and her throwing cups through a window at my dad and all that, which was immediately followed by a breakfast. Immediately, I didn't even pick up on that.
And then it was like it didn't happen. It was just, or the breakfast was...
We just went literally right back to this default of, the semblance of normal. Some normalcy. There was nothing normal about it.
Yeah.
But when you look around and everybody's kind of got this kind of gorgeous morning smile, like we were outside and vitamin D.
Yeah.
Getting ready for the day. And it's like, do you remember what we were doing just like for the last 4 hours? Yeah. Which was total insanity. And I think that's why when I went out into the when I went out into the world, that was the shock. The shock wasn't what I was experiencing because I didn't know any different. And then I got older and went out into the world and started dealing with people on the level that I had gotten used to.
Right.
And then you see people reacting. I think that's why I like being in Italy.
Because?
I think people are just less, they're more animated.
Yeah.
You know, and it seems to vibe with how I was raised, without the chaos, without the
chaos. My husband came from a very Italian family, and you could stay out till 5 a.m. He could do everything that he wanted to do. He didn't have to dress in a certain way. He had to be home for mealtimes.
That was us.
Same
thing.
Was the structure. And Jake Gyllenhaal, a friend of mine, I'm sure you know, said he opened up his podcast saying that food was the only functional thing in a dysfunctional family. And
I know him and his parents.
And his parents. But he said it. I said, can I say that? And he talked about going to the market in, I don't know, Westwood or Pacific Palisades with his father and seeing the food. And what about your mother's dinners?
Her dinners there was a lot of Mexican food. There was a lot of Italian food. There was a lot of Southern food.
Did she read cookbooks, do you think?
So my
Where
mother,
did she learn?
At our ranch now, we have an entire, very large bookshelf of just her cookbooks.
I would love to see those sometime.
Oh, my God.
I would love to. Tell me about them. Yeah.
I mean, they're all original cookbooks from decades, different decades.
Of hers that she cut out. Did she cut out?
Of hers that she cut out. She would do these collages. There's handwritten. I mean, that's only one. That's just one that I picked. I actually called my daughter and said, send me a couple of handwritten recipes. There's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of recipes that she copied. I have in the book, too. Let me see if I can find it. There's a thing that in the beginning where
you said that she introduced herself in restaurants. She would go into restaurants.
No, she would always end up in the kitchen.
She would end up in the kitchen.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. I think that, let's say, Dusty Fire, she made him. And the cook in the back, a lanky 28-year-old who didn't know that he was her prey for the evening. She showed him how to better stir the sauce. She made him hold his hand over hers as they flipped a dish in a pan. She asked him who his favorite country western singers were and if he had ever been to a proper rodeo. He was toast as far as I was concerned. I knew it was going to be a long night and that I might as well go back out into that parking lot and see what I could find in the desert beyond it. Parents are the bones we cut our teeth on, but they never talk about the parents' own teeth. They never talk about the bite you learn to see coming. I dreamed about her last night, and I awoke happy but sweating. Because every moment with her was exciting. You couldn't just go have a meal in a restaurant. She had to take over the entire restaurant.
Did you find it exciting or sometimes embarrassing?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think both. Because why wouldn't it be embarrassing as a child?
Children,
like don't bring attention to us. But then at the same time, I could tell. I mean, it was like living with Salvador Dali. It was like I remember hearing my dad saying, I saw Salvador Dali running down the street. It was like running down Lexington Avenue with a pork chop cape on. It's like there's just those people. Why him? Why did he do that?
Yeah.
Why did she do that? Why did he dress that way? Why were they, somebody wears jeans and a black T-shirt every day and somebody dresses in the nicest dresses they can get, Versace and this and that.
Yeah.
My mom just acted the way she was unapologetically herself. And there's like growing up on the ranch when you have to feed 48 horses or 58 horses every morning. When you're doing it, it sucks. It's horrible. It's just labor. But when you look back on it, you go, thank God for that upbringing. Thank God for that. Thank God I had to get up and get out into the elements every single morning before I went to school. It made me who I am. Paso Robles is considered wine country now, so it's a very famous wine country. And when I was growing up there were two wineries, so it wasn't known for its wine. Napa was known for its wineries. But people would, it was a farming community and a horse community. So people would take their kids out of school for 2 or 3 weeks when the farming happened, when the harvesting happened and all that. School was not a priority.
What year was that?
76,
so that late, yeah.
77, 78.
So what was it like well, first of all, before you left home, you worked age 14 as a chef, cooking, right?
Yeah,
in the
I
kitchen?
wasn't a chef.
No, but you were in the kitchen, right?
I was in the kitchen.
Can you,
I
you know
started
who
at 12.
told the story of that very similarly? Is Wolfgang Puck.
Really?
Yeah, because he was like, but that was economic. They just said, okay, you're living in Austria. We don't like you very much. You're going to go peel potatoes in a.
And that's the thing
and
with
he was
kids
kind of
is you
suicidal.
had kids in order to earn.
Yeah,
back then.
He found it. He almost tried to jump off a bridge. But for you, how did actually be a 14-year-old at home 1 minute and then working in a restaurant
I was
the next?
12.
You were 12.
I was 12.
Wow.
And we knew the owner of the restaurant. It was called Rocky Galenti's. It was an Italian restaurant. And I started literally, did I start doing dishes in the back or just like picking just crap off the walls or whatever I was doing? But I remember the like you said, the performative thing of the, And then I started getting into it, and then I started doing salads, and I started doing chopped salads, and then you do like drum rolls with the two
did they
huge
teach you
knives.
Knife skills?
Oh yeah.
At 12. Wow.
No, that was like 13. By the time I had hit 13, but I was already smoking cigarettes in the back and taking breaks and little sips off glasses of wine that were left on tables. And
big restaurant, small restaurant?
No, it was a fairly small restaurant. It felt like when I think of Italian restaurants now, like authentic Italian restaurants, they're small.
Yeah.
They're all small tables. And there was a guy who would go from table to table and sing arias. There was a guy who was hired, and he would sing these arias.
Sounds like
right? And then there was somebody else who would do caricatures on the wall, kind of drunken, awful caricatures on the wall that you'd pay him. Yeah. And then you were forever stamped onto the Italian restaurant, Rocky Galenti's, Santa Barbara, Lower State Street.
Wow.
And Lower State Street now is a nice place. Lower State Street then was not a nice place.
How were they kind in the kitchen to you?
They were very kind to me.
Yeah.
They liked me because I was also, some version of misfit. All the cooks were misfits.
Yeah, well,
Men and women alike. There was no gender
there were women in
there.
The kitchen?
Oh yes.
Oh really?
Yes. And they were also it was like being around, because I grew up around drag racing and racing because my dad. We were on a lot of tracks. It reminded me of that. It reminded me of people who went 300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
The stress of working in the restaurant business, I loved.
Did you?
Yes. And I think it's the only thing that with acting, it was like, do I love acting? I don't know, sometimes. Do I like the idea of having to live up to something? Yes. Do I like the fact that, back in the days before digital, there was film, and before that last bit of film went in the magazine, you only had that much time. You only had that take left before the sun went down. That's a lot of pressure. But I think having grown up in a kitchen, not only my mother's kitchen, but that restaurant's kitchen, there was something about that pressure that I fed off of. I liked,
And then at the end
Order!
of it, I know. It is.
There's a lot of yelling, it was great.
That's the thing about having the, when you
open
see
kitchen.
The open kitchen is it's more like a ballet.
Yeah,
you
it's a
move
ballet.
around to talk to somebody rather than
That's right.
shop, because kitchens, old-fashioned kitchens are cruel, and but these young people, do you know what, Josh? They won't take it anymore. They don't want to work. They don't want to work in a place where they're bullied or they're made to feel they're just not going to put up with that. What was it like leaving home, and in terms of how you, how did you eat? Did you cook for yourself? Did you?
I did. I cooked for myself all the time. I used pesto a lot. I remember that when I was a teenager and I left, because I left when I was 16.
Wow. So you've
17.
School.
I had finished school early. I did the Goonies during school.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about. So how old were you when did you think?
Well, I was kicked out of my house in Santa Barbara, and by my mother.
Oh, she did.
And I went down, and I think it was very temporary. I think both of us didn't think it would last. But then I because, I'd been to jail a couple of times already, and I was,
Before you were 16.
yeah.
Do you remember
And
the food in jail?
do I remember the food in jail? I do very well, actually.
I think you're the first person I've asked that question to. And 140 people. Have we had I don't think we've had
Because you have a different echelon of people. I come from a
you're the
different
highest
place.
echelon, but it's just an experience. So what was the food like in jail?
The food was always stale, always, 100% of the time. There was Rice Krispies. There was warm milk. There was a piece of white bread.
Are we talking about breakfast? Are we talking about all day?
That's when you always wake up in jail. We can talk about the rest of it, which is when you stay in line and you get the slop. There's cafeteria slop.
So let's go back to the Rice
That's like
Krispies.
runny
That would be
stuff.
your breakfast in your cell?
That would be your breakfast in your cell, which is put on a tray, and that's a little opening that you have in your door. And on that tray is usually what you did and why you're in jail, in case you were in a blackout while you did it. So you look at what you've done. You take out this arrest sheet and look at it and say, oh, I'm in here for whatever. As a general rule, which is actually not, but in jail you spend up to 1 year. In prison you spend more than 1 year.
Okay, so
I was in jail. I was never in prison, but I was in jail 9 times. But yeah, jail, there was one point where I was looking at 14 years in prison. That would be prison, but that got knocked down to, I did a few months.
The longest you stayed was?
Few months.
Few months. Mm-hmm. And the food, again? Because I'm sure
the food
that
was
so much
really
we could
good.
just
They had
talk.
a great chef
Great chef there.
who went on
because,
to work
I just
with
found
Wolfgang Puck, and they collaborated in a restaurant called Clank.
Spago. Clank. But I just went to a dinner, to sort of charity dinner, and they talked about food in prisons.
Did they?
And yeah, it was a kind of.
And how good they are, or how much
they
need to improve
we
it?
spend in Britain? I think a day for 3 meals a day is something like £1.20 on prisoner. So you're giving them. There's no sense of rehabilitation.
Right.
It was a meeting of chefs, and we were just saying, how do you reckon if prison obviously is punishment, but it also is the idea that you're going to make somebody better, perhaps,
or worse. Mm-hmm. But how I'm not still in prison amazes me. But listen, for me, I mean, you're a parent, and I've been a parent since I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
19 when she was pregnant, and I was looking at that jail time when she was pregnant. So I was going from. Once I got out of jail, I was living in a halfway house, and I was going on a Harley Davidson motorcycle, going from a halfway house to birthing class. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. Yeah. I mean, it was chaotic, but it was, which is the suggestion of the book, is like that was normal. That's the only type of living I knew how to do. And I was very lucky because I had books, which had a massive impact on me. I had a guy named Anthony Zerbe, who's an actor. He's 87. He's still my best friend. And he would come and just, like, literally, I would open my door. We did a series together in Tucson, Arizona, when I was like 20, 21. I would open the door, and there'd be 8 books just standing there at 6 a.m. It was never read this, and this is how you should. He'd just be a stack, and then a month later there'd be another stack, and then there'd be another stack, and then we ended up doing plays together. And I heard him and Roscoe Lee Brown do an hour and a half of the most amazing hour and a half of poetry, spoken poetry, which I can't think of anything more boring as a concept. It's like, go watch people speak poetry for an hour and a half. It's like, bleh. But they were so dynamic. And they understood the music of language, and it was its own food. And I sat there watching that at 20 years old, and I just said, that's what I want. Couldn't get enough of it. Would you like me to read it in Italian or English?
You can read it in any language you like. You can read it in Arabic.
Cavolo. Cavolo nero. No. Okay, here we go.
It's nice.
Rigatoni with cavolo nero and new olive oil serves 6. 1 kilogram cavolo nero leaves, 2 garlic cloves peeled, 250 milliliters extra virgin olive oil, 500 grams, 500 grams rigatoni, freshly grated Parmesan. This pasta is a celebration of 2 ingredients that arrive at the same moment in the year, cavolo nero and the first pressed peppery extra virgin olive oil. Remove the stalks from the cavolo nero leaves, but keep the leaves whole. Blanch them in boiling salted water along with the garlic cloves for 5 minutes. Drain. Put the blanched cavolo nero and garlic into a food processor and pulse chop to a puree. In the last couple of seconds, pour in about 200 milliliters of the extra virgin olive oil. This will make fairly liquid dark green puree. Season well. Cook the rigatoni in boiling salted water, then drain. Put the pasta into a bowl, add the sauce, and stir until each piece is thickly coated. Pour over the remaining extra virgin olive oil and serve with Parmigiano.
There you go. Thank you. I agree.
I think if I didn't have young kids,
No.
I would be in Italy
But
right
you could,
now.
you bring them, there's schools you can.
No,
we
I know
somebody who's living, Jeff
know
is
that.
living in.
We just moved
You've
to a
just
place that's as close to Europe as I think we can get in California.
Where's
and we're
that?
very happy there in Santa Barbara.
moved in Santa Barbara. I was at the San Isidro Ranch
We live
millions of years
very
ago.
close.
Millions of years
Yeah.
ago, Richard and I went there. It was beautiful.
Yeah, St. Isidro Ranch is nice.
Really
Did you like
nice.
it?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah.
I did like it. We walked and except there was one thing I really am not happy with, and that's snakes.
Snakes?
I feel pretty strongly about snakes. And
I
so,
understand that.
do you get it? When I go to places, I now have found out that I say to people, do you have snakes here? Because I really like them.
No.
Yeah, because you tell them you're scared, they tell you there are no snakes. But you
Right.
say, I'd really like to see some snakes. Do you
Right.
have
And they
any
go,
here?
"Oh, we have
then
a
they go, yeah.
bunch."
Then I go, bye.
Yeah.
Then I'm out of there. Like in 30
You
seconds.
manipulator.
30 seconds. So they
That's
were
really
snakes.
smart, actually.
Yeah, you
I
just say-
love snakes. Do you guys
Yeah,
have
I
any
really
here?
love them.
Oh,
Do
we
you
have
have
a
any?
ton of rattlesnakes in the hills.
Yeah.
If you go in the
Then
hills, they're everywhere.
Yeah, then you know.
Yeah.
So I went, it's like telling your accountant you're spending too much money before they tell you.
I love snakes,
San
by the way.
Isidro, you do?
I do.
Oh,
love
gosh,
them.
we might have to
My
end
whole
this
family.
interview right now. You
No.
all love them?
We all love them. We
I
all
can't
pick
listen
them
to-
up and yeah.
I don't even like the
How
word.
about spiders? Do you like spiders?
Oh, fine. Anything.
You're fine.
Anything. I can take a spider. I can take a mouse.
You don't like
it's
those?
It's just a snake that I
Yeah.
don't like. So we were swimming
Yeah.
in one of those pools at the San Isidro.
Yeah.
And I was really happy. I was just swimming. And Richard, I just heard this voice saying, Ruthie, don't look to your right.
No.
Don't look to your left. And just swim. And I was going, are you telling me there's a snake? And he went, no, I'm just telling you to get out. And then we got out and they were like all over the place.
There was there a snake in the pool?
Yeah, in the pool, not in the swimming pool, but we were hiking and we
Right,
saw
on
a
the
little
edges
pond,
of it, ugh.
and we just decided to go in the pond.
Well,
Anyway,
I wouldn't like
fine.
that.
I didn't like it.
I wouldn't like
but I
that.
liked Santa Barbara, and I liked that
Santa Barbara's
place. And
good.
there's a great Mexican. Isn't there like a street Mexican place that sells tacos? That's quite
Like
famous.
street tacos, like small tacos?
Yeah, really,
It's great.
really good area. We talked about it already, that you do need comfort from food when you need comfort.
Yeah.
Is there a food that you would go to?
Italian.
And what would it be? What would the dish be?
Comfortable. Something that makes me comfortable. Something that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Would be a pasta. Would be a pasta with a thick sauce. It would have mushrooms in it. It would have. I like mushrooms for some reason. I really like mushrooms. And banoffee.
What is it? Tell me about banoffee.
What is it? It's
Australian.
toffee.
Is it sort of Australian?
It's toffee bananas, homemade cream, dulce de leche. What is dulce de leche?
Dulce de leche
It's
is
sugar
that-
and
it's-
milk.
Yeah.
Condensed,
condensed milk.
It can be condensed milk or it's sugar and milk.
Yeah.
melted down in a pan.
And it's Spanish, right?
Spanish, dulce de leche.
And I think it's a
Spanish.
dessert.
Candy.
It's a bit like creme caramel.
Yeah,
almost
exactly.
In
It's like
France.
toffee or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
some
in
form
Spain.
of caramel toffee.
Yeah.
But I loved it. There was something about her making that. It was just, it's been 30 years since she's died. Anytime, I thought it was much more rare than it is, and I guess it's a British dessert, but anytime that I'm anywhere, especially Europe, and they serve banoffee, I go, oh my God, look, they have banoffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you, mama.
Yeah.
When you eat something great, it's just like getting a big hug inside. It's like, oh, I love you, Josh. You know what I mean? But there's truth to it. There's truth to it. So if I eat banoffee, I'm not just eating banoffee. I'm eating an experience that I've had that I not only appreciate and love looking back on, but feel like I'm reliving. My mother was very into key lime pie too, and I don't base everything just off my mother, but key lime pie, when I ask if the key lime is real, that's the thing, is the lime real? Is it white? It's all these things that I grew up with, that were, that felt like the knowledge, like she had the knowledge. She was going to call you out if it was fake, and I loved that. Cool. There was something, this kind of demand for the organic.
Integrity.
Yeah, integrity.
Rigor.
Yes. But demand for the organic. Like, are you giving me McDonald's or are you giving me the real deal? Did you put your soul into this? Yeah.
I wish I'd met her.
Yeah, me too. You guys would have loved each other.
There's
some people that people go, oh, I wish, I would have met her. I go, no, you don't. Nope. She would have buried you. But yes, I think you guys would have adored each other.
Well, she has a great son.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Ruthie's Table 4 in partnership with Moncler.